Here's Mary Bartz with Meals and Minutes, sponsored by the Minnesota Pork Board. Hi, Mary.
Hey, Todd.
How are you?
I'm great, and it's beginning to smell and taste a lot like Christmas.
Oh, it smells wonderful in here.
So tempting. Well, we're all in the middle of our holiday culinary traditions, and pork certainly has a prominent position on the menu. Our featured recipe today is Balsamic Rosemary Pork Loin. Go to mnpork.com and look for To All a Good Bite, the holiday brochure featuring 4 festive and flavorful recipes. This pork loin is great for a family dinner, but also has strong entertaining appeal. Your guests will think you spent all day in the kitchen, but it's no secret how speedy and easy pork loin roast is. Now, we've talked about boneless pork loin in the past, in our previous shows, buying the full loin, cutting it at home into roast, chops, kebab cubes, and stir-fry strips, and then freezing accordingly. And not only is this a smart do-ahead approach to getting dinner on the table every night, but it also is easy on the budget. Now, I'm always watching the meat case, and the price for pork loin is exceptionally good right now, especially since pork loin is well trimmed and boneless. There's virtually no waste. You're receiving great value for your dollar. Well, let's get started with this recipe. We have a 2.5-pound boneless pork loin roast. So again, I've taken this out of the full pork loin, which was, I think the packet I bought was about 8.5 pounds. So I've got about 2.5 pounds that I'm starting with. We're making a balsamic rosemary paste to coat the outside of the meat. Now, if you've worked with rosemary before, you know that it's easy to strip the leaves off the stem. We need about 1.5 cups of rosemary leaves. So when you purchase the packets in the store, they're usually about 1-ounce packets, so you'll need 2 packets for this recipe. So you place the rosemary in the food processor, add 12 cloves of garlic, 3 tablespoons olive oil, 2 tablespoons balsamic vinegar, 2 teaspoons black pepper, and a teaspoon of salt. And you know me, I like to have coarsely ground black pepper, and I'm kind of partial to kosher salt. So we've got it all ready to go in the food processor here. So I'm going to pulse until the garlic and the rosemary are coarsely chopped. And that's looking really, really good. And it's smelling, wonderful.
Yeah, I'll attest to that.
Now, we're going to take about 3/4 of this mixture and apply it to the pork loin and spread it all over. And I like to work in a bowl because that way, and really get my hands into it too. It's just easier for me. So I'll usually wear disposable gloves and just pat the mixture, roll and spread, and then place it into the roasting pan. Position it with the fat side of the loin up. Then I have a preheated 450-degree oven. Roast it for 15 minutes. Don't cover, don't add any water. That's the beauty of dry roasting, because pork loin is such an inherently tender cut. So this is really the best way to cook pork loin. Then we have 2.5 pounds of small red potatoes. You cut those into 1/2-inch wedges, and the potatoes I purchased were fairly small, so most of them I just cut into 4ths, some of them into 6ths. Toss the potatoes with the remaining paste. Now, when the pork roast completes that initial 15 minutes of roasting, you turn the oven temp down to 350 and then place the potatoes around the roast. I kept it in for about another 30 minutes, and then I turned the potatoes because I want to make sure they're evenly browned. And that's really the only reason for that, is just the pork is doing fine at that point. Just want to turn the potatoes. And then I roasted for about another 15 minutes or so. And that's when you want to start checking the internal temperature of the roast. And I've got my instant read thermometer in, and whether you have an instant read or an oven proof, which can stay in the oven the entire time, you want to remove your roast at 150 degrees. Take it out, put it on the cutting board, tent it with foil, and let it rest for about 10 minutes. That's really about the right amount of time you need. The temperature will continue to rise to reach the final 160-degree temp. The juices redistribute, and it ensures easy carving. Now, I need to put a plug in here for oven thermometers, whether they be the long cooking thermometer or the instant read. If you don't have one, I'd suggest that you ask Santa to put it on your list, because they're really not that expensive. They're readily available, and it will ensure that you have perfect pork every time.
All right.
I'll tell you, you don't want to overcook that delicious, flavorful pork. Okay, so in addition to the potatoes, you'll see that I've added a few other veggies. I'm well known in my family as the veggie lover, so I can always be counted on to do the salads, do the veggies, and then I'll think about dessert. So I've added today roasted Brussels sprouts, whole green beans, and whole carrots. And not only does it add the great balance of nutrition, which is, mainly my concern, but it's also a colorful presentation on the serving platter with the sliced pork. I've got extra fresh rosemary that I'm going to garnish the platter, and really it's a beautiful presentation, almost too pretty to eat.
Yeah.
But I'm going to slice here, so Todd will give you a taste here.
Oh man, look at that.
Now it's, we had a little bit of a drive over from Sleepy Eye, so it's been standing, but still the temp is really pretty good here. How about, can I get a plate, and we'll give him a little sample? Because that's what's really important, is to give him his opportunity to sample.
Oh, absolutely. Yes, it's very important to me.
And I'll let him help himself to the veggies.
Okay. All
Okay.
right.
So I would anticipate that we're going to have a delicious response from Todd.
Well,
And while you're filling your plate with, hey, he's doing carrots, I'm impressed here.
Oh, absolutely.
Good.
Absolutely.
The prep time for this recipe is 15 minutes.
Oh, it's not very long at all.
Not at all. I've
No.
done this recipe twice now. It's so incredibly easy. And total cook time is under an hour and 15 minutes. So I think we're all set. See how easy it'd be for an evening dinner, or if you are having guests over. I think it'd be very, very easy and very impressive as
my.
well. He's taking his first bite. You can
Oh.
kind of hear the oohs and the ahs. So.
Very rich in flavor.
Well,
my.
the rosemary is a very pungent herb or herb. Either is appropriate. I grow it in the garden in the summer, and it's a shame when you have to outright purchase it at the grocery store, but it's readily available, and the balsamic vinegar has that aged sweetness. So it's along with the garlic, it's just aromatic, just a flavorful accompaniment to the pork.
Oh,
very,
there's-
very nice combination.
Absolutely. There's just a bunch of flavor in there. Now what'd you say, 12 cloves of garlic going into this?
Yeah, I know. I took a look at that recipe, and at first I thought, oh my gosh. But when you roast garlic, when you heat it, it really mellows out. And you really need that amount of garlic with that amount of rosemary and the balsamic and the olive oil to totally cover the roast. So it's really, in the end, it's really fine. I was a little bit surprised. That's a lot of garlic to peel, however, and
Yeah.
you can buy the garlic that's already purchased, or you can purchase it already in the jar, already chopped. That's in the produce area typically. Or a trick that I have for preparing garlic is, for each of the cloves, I'll just cut off the base, what I call the stem end, and then take a French knife and just flatten each clove separately. And when you smash it, the papery outside just sort of falls away, and then it was so fast. So then I did the food processor to do the
Okay.
chopping for the recipe. So it's pretty easy to work with.
Absolutely. Oh, like I said, it's just so flavorful, that piece of meat. It's very, very good.
Good.
So, yeah.
Good.
Anything else today, Mary?
Well, I think we just have a wonderful presentation for our delicious pork loin. For holiday entertaining or for an easy family recipe, this is such versatility and really showcases what pork is all about.
Absolutely.
So here's wishing everyone a very merry Meals and Minutes.
All right, Meals and Minutes here on 860 KNUJ. My thanks to Mary Bartz.